I welcome you all in this lecture, which will be related to the understanding about the journal review process. And it is very useful for the authors who are in the beginning of their research career, who have just started their doctoral degree or the master degree, in which there is a requirement of scientific publication. So whenever we go for publication, when we write our first paper, or when we are in our early career, early days of research paper writing, we have a lot of query that what is the process through which my paper will be reviewed, when I will be getting my review, what exactly happens in the review process, who all are the reviewers, how they are being selected. So these all are the questions that comes in our mind, that when I will submit my research paper, what is going to happen with that paper? What are the different requirements? What are the different points on which my paper will be evaluated? And these problems, these queries, I am going to address, going to say in front of you so that you can understand that what is going to happen with your paper. So I have a one presentation, and that presentation I have prepared based on my experience after reviewing around 100 journal papers from the different publication houses: Elsevier, Springer, IEEE Transaction, Taylor Francis, Wiley, American Society of Civil Engineers. I thought that I should bring a fact to the authors, and especially authors who are in the early start of their career, so that they can understand that what exactly happens into the peer review process. So this is about the journal paper review and facts for the authors, and so that the authors can understand that what is going to happen with their paper. Just a minute, it's taking time. So it's about the journal paper review, facts for authors. Myself, Professor Dr. Pyari Mohan Tiwari. I have an affiliation which you can see from the Amity University, Uttar Pradesh, Noida. So first thing, that if we go for the definition of review, it's from the Cambridge Dictionary, that tells that definition of review is that to think or talk about something again in order to make changes to it or to make a decision about it. So whenever we write something, it should be reviewed and some suggestions should be given by, so that changes could be done, and a final paper, final document should be ready for the publication, for the for the for the office purpose, whatever may be the purpose of that write up that we have prepared, that should be reviewed, right? But who should be the reviewer? How we can do the review, whether it is a very generalized review or whether it is a some reviewed by some expert. So in the scientific publication, it is done by some peer group who are working in the same area. So it is about the independent assessment and feedback by someone working in the same field. So if someone is working in the biotechnology field, and if he or she has written some research paper, that should be reviewed by the persons who are working exactly in the same area, so that we can have the feedback, we have the assessment clearly, so that that can contribute, that review should contribute to enhance the level of the paper, so that it can correct if there is any, if there is any mistake is there in the paper. So there was a survey, that is peer review survey in 2009, uh, and that has given a report that 91% of the participant in that survey says that their last paper was improved through peer review. So what was the first initial submission was there in the paper, that was improved to a next level by the peer review, right? So this is the there is a very good fact that tells that everyone, those who are doing the scientific publication, are agreed that peer review is the process that not only uh, check that what is the quality of paper, but it is doing the contribution, a significant contribution for improving the level of the paper. It's not only about the rejection or the selection or the acceptance, but it is about the improvement also. So if we try to understand that what exactly happens into the peer review process. So this slide is showing that I have referred from the Wiley, and that you can see that when the author submits article, the first of all, it is being reviewed by the editorial team, and that is being assessed by the editor and their team. And if it is found that there is a possible contribution in this paper, paper is written correctly, having not the issue of plagiarism, then it is being forwarded and sent to the reviewers for the peer review. Otherwise, it should be rejected and sent back to the author with the remark that paper is not suited in the scope of this particular journal, or there is a high plagiarism issue, whatever may be the reason. Based on that, that is called the desk rejection, and paper will be sent back to the authors. And if some possible contribution is there, then it is sent to the reviewers for the peer review. And based on the feedback assessment of the peer reviewers, if it is required that paper should be revised, having some possible contribution, then then it is again sent back to the authors with the comments of the reviewers that authors should address the comments of the reviewers, and revision should be submitted. And once the revision is submitted by the authors, then reviewers again should be contacted. Mostly the same reviewers should be contacted, and based on the editor's decision, editor may take a decision to invite some new set of the reviewers for getting the more rigorous review. And based on the second round of the review, the editor takes decision for the acceptance, rejection, and then further, if it is accepted, then the production and publication. So the review round may be 2 or 3 or more than 3, based on that what the reviewers want to see in the paper, how the paper should be, what are the different mistakes or the different requirements that reviewers wants, that should be addressed by the review by the authors, maybe in the 2 rounds, 3 rounds, 4 rounds of the review. So Based on this understanding, we can see that in a peer review process, when we submit our paper for any journal for the publication and the review, there are mainly four level of people involved. First is the administrator, manager, editor, editor-in-chief, associate editor, and reviewer. So definitely author is one who submit the paper. After submission of the paper, administrator and the journal manager see that who are the part of the editor team who looks that what is whether the paper is in the format, whether the plagiarism issue is there or not, and seeing these all issues with the consent of the editor, there is a initial pre-screening is done, and based on that, the rejection or the next level of review decision should be taken. So the editor uh, decides that who could be the associate editor, who are the expert of this paper, because in a one journal there is one editor in chief or the editor, and with one editor a good number of associate editors are involved who actually handle the paper. So editors then assign the paper to the associate editor, and then the associate editor search the reviewers for the paper review. So mainly these four peoples are involved in with any journal, with any paper which we go for the submission for the review and the publication. So what the editor in chief or editor responsibility is there? The editor in chief and editor looks and their team. With the editor, there is a team in that the editorial team is involved, journal manager is involved, and they looks for the publication scope, whether the paper which is being submitted is in the scope of the journal or not. They check the pre-screening for the technical substance, whether there is a technical substance, sufficient technical substance is there or not. They decides the test rejection possibility also. The editor decides the associate editor, selecting the peer reviewers. They look after the speedy review, confidentiality, finalizing the decision, writing the rationale for decision, publication, post-publication issues, plagiarism, retraction, correction. These all are the issues that is being taken care by the editor. It. So the question is that who can be reviewer? Reviewer should be a person who is exactly working in the related field. He or she may be the academician who are doing the publication in the same field, maybe a scientist, industry expert, research scholar. So whenever the paper reaches to the associate editor, and associate editor is decided by the editor, then the associate editor looks for the expert, two or more than two experts who are working in the same area who can review the paper. And the reviewer can be academicians, scientists, industry expert, research scholars who are publishing in that area. So it is important that we should understand that what are the different type of peer review. So mainly, if we broadly, there are three different types. Single anonymous, that is we call the single blind, in which the reviewers know the authors. The authors are allowed to write their name on the paper, right? Or the reviewer can see that who are the authors of this paper. That is called the single blind. There is another class that is called the double anonymous, that is the double blind. Reviewers don't know the authors of the article, and authors also not knowing who are the reviewers. So both sides are not knowing to each other, neither the reviewer knowing the author nor the author knowing the reviewer. There is another class which is becoming nowadays popular, that is called the open peer review, where the reviewers know about the authors, but author will know the reviewer at later stage of publication. So initially when we submit the paper, authors submit the paper, then then the reviewers can know that who are the submitter of this paper, means who are all are the authors. Once the decision is made about the paper and if paper got accepted, then at the later stage of the production of that paper, the the reviewers names of that paper will be available online or in the hard copy of uh, journal volume and issue. And there are various models being adopted in the open peer review. And this is a new concept. Then how the selection of reviewer is being done, and it is the responsibility of the associate editor who looks for the reviewers. And while selection of the reviewers, associate editor is doing these all tasks so that he can get motivated potential reviewers who can give uh, independent good assessment about the paper. He looks into the references in the article. What are the different references? Who are the authors who is publishing the paper related to the area matches with the paper submitted. So from the reference, the associate editor may choose one or two reviewers. Nowadays, Publon's database is also being used for the reviewers. Publon database is the where the reviewers database is there with their area of expertise, and from there the associate editors selects invite the reviewers. Past authors and editors who who are the past authors who have published in that area that can also be invited. Other journals authors related area in which others authors have published in different journals, that they can also be invited. Associate editor may invite from their personal connect colleagues who are working in that area, because associate editor is normally is very close to the area in which the paper is submitted. Because under one editor there are several associated editor works, uh, like in the case of electronics engineering or in the computer electronics engineering, there are various associate editors are involved who are the expert of the VLSI, maybe the image processing, maybe the signal processing, maybe the devices. So they are knowing that who are the authors who are doing the publication in that area, who are other authors who are doing the publication in other journals. So they are experts to identify the potential reviewers who can do the review. But this is a time consuming and challenging task, because associate editor when invites one reviewer, reviewer may not be free, so he may decline the review invitation. Then associate editor has to see other alternative. So sometimes it takes a lot of time, many weeks after the submission of paper. It may take 4 to 6 weeks or 8 weeks to finalize the reviewers. So that is a time consuming process. So how the invitation is sent to the reviewers? Generally, the associate editor invites the reviewers, mentioning the abstract of the paper, who are the authors of the paper, and giving some link, online link on to which after click, the reviewer can be agreed or decline the invitation, And while doing the decline, there is an option that the invited reviewer may suggest other alternative reviewer because he is not free, but he may suggest that, okay, you can invite to person X as a reviewer. And when the associate editor sent the invitation to the reviewer, he mentioned that how much time is given for the review process. And you can see that this is a uh, sample invitation that is sent by associate editor to a reviewer, and in which it is mentioned that 45 days is there for the review. So authors, the reviewer have a clarity that, okay, I have the 45 days. I need to see my schedule, whether I will be able to review this paper in 45 days or not. What is the abstract that is also given in the invitation? And based on the time given, based on the abstract, the reviewer takes the decision that he is agreed or going to decline for the review invitation. This is one sample invitation in which it is given 45 days. So how much time is given, that is based on the journal policy. So in this particular journal, it is given 45 days. Maybe another journal may be giving not more than 45, but below 45. So you can see that this is another invitation in which the reviewer has been given 21 days to submit your review. So some journals are very strict that they will not give you more than the given time, and they will uninvite you, because some journals are following the strict deadline for the review process. So if they have given, associate editor has given 21 days, so before 21 days they will be giving you a reminder. Reviewers will be getting the reminder, one reminder and two reminder, and after two reminder, if reviewer is not responding, they will uninvite the reviewer, and they will send the review invitation to another reviewer, or based on the suppose the three reviewers have been invited and two reviewers have been given comment and third is pending and not responding. So based on the two reviewers, sometime the associate editor takes the decision. So here you can see that this is the invitation, sample invitation, in which the associate editor is giving 21 days to submit the review, and this is as per the journal policy. Here you can see that this is another invitation in which the reviewer is getting the 30 days to give the review. So it's depending on the journal to journal policy. You can see that 45 days, 21 days, 30 days, and you will see that here only 7 days is given. So some journal are doing the very fast review, like IEEE Access. So they are taking the decision in 7 days. So you can see that the associate editor is writing the reviewer that reviewers should give the comment in 7 days only. So it's depending that what is the journal policy, reviewers get time to do the review. So once the reviewers have been invited, what exactly, when the reviewer start doing the review process, what exactly he is looking for? He is looking for any reviewer. If he is the motivated reviewer and motivated for his task, he will be looking for quality, correctness, completeness, scope, integrity, identifying the plagiarism, relevancy of the field, accuracy, data, what is the length of article, quality of figure, references, clarity. So these all are the major points that is in the mind of reviewers. And once he opened the paper in his review portal, he used to see the broadly these fields, that whether these all are there or not, and then he will see the technicality and these all, that whether the accuracy is there or not, correctness is there or not, and most importantly, plagiarism is whether the integrity is followed or not. What is the quality? What is the novelty? What is new things that is author is reporting in this paper. And quality of figure is also very important thing that matters. Whether the new references are there or not, latest references are there or not, clarity is there or not, whether the flow of the article is clear or not. So these all are the issues that reviewers is looking. Some journal are giving some template uh, in which the reviewer has to give the report. Like here, there is a one journal. I'm not giving here the name, but broadly you can understand that what is the review process. Have you ever seen the same or similar paper anywhere? The reviewer has to give the report about the good, fair, and poor category. Does the introduction state the purpose of the paper clarity? So introduction is important, that whether the introduction is appealing or not, because for the new readers, whether when the paper will be published, whether that will giving the message with the clarity or not. Is there a significant contribution of the paper relative to the previous work? What is there in the literature? Whether this paper is having the significant contribution better than that, whether this paper is advancing the theory or not, is the clarity and organization of this paper is formed, or the notation well defined, relevancy of the field. All are the these all are the points through which the associate the reviewer will be taking the decision. There is another thing, that what is the originality? Reviewer has to give the report to the associate editor that originality is there or not, excellent, good, fair, and poor. Integrity, references, technical accuracy, well supported with analysis, simulations, or experimental evidence. So with these points, reviewers has to give the report to the associate editor, so that the correct and fair, unbiased decision should be taken by the associate editor about the paper. You can see that length of the article is also important. The reviewer has to give the report that whether the length of the article is good, fair, or poor. Number of table is also important, that how many number of table it is more than the required number of table is given. Unnecessary tables have been created. Number of figures, quality of figure, and the table. These all are the issues that is there in the mind of the reviewers, and reviewer has to give these all points feed as a assessment to the associate editor. Then there is another issue, that is the ask that this is the template of another journal, that is this paper scientifically sound? Is this paper up to international standard? A reviewer has to give the response. Is the title pertinent and understandable? Does the abstract adequately summarize, or the experimental or theoretical method explain adequately? Are all important assumptions clearly stated? Does the evidence presented in the paper support the conclusions? So whatever you are giving the evidence, and whatever you are writing in the conclusion, that should have the correlation. Does the paper contain new ideas or the new data? Are the results presented clearly and concisely? Are all the figures and tables necessary and good quality? Are the captions appropriate? Is the paper well written and organized? Does the author give proper credit to related work? Is the English understandable? So language is also important issue, because in the English writing, it is important that international readers should understand the paper in a good sense. So these all are the issues that should be taken care when the authors are writing the papers, because reviewers are going to see these all the points. So it is important that we should, when we are writing the paper, as a author, that should be in our mind, that introductions should be written in what way, abstract should be written in a what way, what should be in the table, what should be the quality of figure, what should be the novelty, what level of novelty should be there. These all should be in our mind. There is another thing that there is another format that is from another journal, and that is the reviewer has to give the report. The subject address in this article is worthy for of investigation. Reviewer has to give the answer strongly disagree, disagree, neutral, agree, strongly agree. There is another question. The information presented is new. This is a very valid thing that should be in your mind, that whatever you are going to write, that should have some novelty, some newness. You cannot compile already existing information, existing literature and facts, and we cannot write a paper. And if we will do such kind of writing, there is a very thin possibility that it will be get accepted through the review process in a good journal. The conclusion are supported by the data. Whatever we are writing in the conclusion, that should be supported by the data. Whatever we have written in the paper, that should accordingly we have to write the conclusion. There should be correlation. The manuscript is appropriate for the journal. That also reviewer has to tell to the associate editor. There is another format that the reviewer has to tell. These all are the templates that is being followed by different journals. The subject address in this article is worthy of investigation. Reviewer has to give the score 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. The information presented was new. So you can see that every time every journal is asking that the information presented was new, novel. The conclusion were supported by the data. This is also important common thing, that whatever you are concluding in the conclusion section, that should have the correlation from the abstract, introduction, simulation, experimental results that you are getting, that should come into the conclusion. Is there a financial or other conflict of interest between your work and other authors? That also is being asked. Please, that is the highlight graphical abstract that should come with the very much clarity when we are writing a paper. There is another template in which that is being asked by the reviewers, that please rate on the scale of 1 to 3 whether the graphical abstract is a meaningful and accurate representation. So the graphical abstract should have uh, meaningful, that if you are adding meaningful, that score is 1, not meaningful 2, not provided, that is 3. So these all are the very important issues on which, based on which the reviewer gives the report to the editor or the associate editor for getting the final um, result of the paper, decision of the paper. The author is using the correct article type. The author should revise as a technical note. So it's depend on the journal policy that what should be the article type, whether you have chosen the correct article type. Article type may be a review paper, maybe it may be short note, maybe it a technical note. So you have to identify according to the journal policy that what should be the category of a paper. If you have written a review paper, you have to select while doing the submission that it is a review paper. If you have written a technical note, it is not a full article, then you have to select as a technical note. So that should have the you should have the clarity. You should go through with the journal policy guidelines, and accordingly while doing the submission you have to select. Does the paper contribute to the body of knowledge? We can the reviewer has to give the answer to the associated. Is the paper technically sound? Is the subject matter presented is in a comprehensive manner? Are the references provided applicable and sufficient? We have to choose the references according to the paper what we are submitting accordingly, that it should not be uncorrelated, because there is a question that the reviewer has to answer for the associate editor, that references provided is applicable and sufficient. You cannot have a, less number of references or more than the required number of references. So you have to keep a balance, that how many references should be there. Some latest references should be there. Some old references should be there. Some relevant books should be referred. Relevant latest publications should be referred. So writing a paper is and is a very comprehensive process in which we need to include these all the points uh, in our mind while finalizing the paper. Then after that, reviewer has to give the comment, technical comments to the confidential comment to the editor, that if the if it is found that the paper is plagiarized or not having the sufficient contribution, or the author has already published this paper uh, partially, and this is just the not significant extension of that paper. So all the confidential remark the reviewers can give to the editor, because that will help the editor or associate editor to take unbiased decision for that paper. Then the reviewer has an option to give the comments to the authors, because these all were the points, the previously discussed point. After that, the reviewer has to give the comprehensive comment to the author, that what he is finding in that paper in different part, that how to improve, what are the incorrectness, where is the scope of improvement, where is the scope of correction, right? Where so these all points the reviewer is going to give to the author through this portal, that okay, in the introduction part these references should come, or the flow of references should be changed, or the simulation or the mathematical correctness is required, equation is having some mistake. So these all points authors will be getting through this box in which the reviewer used to write. Other than that, the what the previously slide was showing, that what are the different points about the plagiarism, about the correctness, about the article type, about the novelty. Other than that, a comprehensive report is given to the authors by the reviewer. So after doing these all, the reviewers have the option to give the recommendation. The reviewer can do the recommendation of accept, minor revision, major revision, or reject. Generally, it happens that uh, based on these all, uh, based on that paper quality, the reviewer can reject straight away without giving any chance to the author. If it is found that paper is having no novelty, nothing, no possibility that it can be improved and can reach to the level of publication, then the reviewer can give a recommendation of rejection. Or if the reviewer is finding that okay, there is a chance that that author can improve by doing some additional work, then he can give or she can give the recommendation as a major revision. Or if the reviewer is finding that okay, paper has well written, is having novelty, and some little minor changes is required, then the reviewer can give a recommendation of minor revision. And in some rare cases, if reviewer is finding that okay, the paper is well written, there is no requirement of further change, then in the first round itself, the reviewer can give a recommendation of accept. But that happens very rarely, that in the first round the paper is get accept, the reviewers can gives the recommendation of acceptance. This is another portal, that is you can see that reviewers gives the recommendation that is accept as is, or revise, or the decline. So it's depending on the journal format. You can see that reviewers are getting the options accept, minor revision, major revision, or rejection. Here you can see that another journal is giving the recommendation accept as is, revise, or the decline. Here it is giving that accept, minor revision, major revision, or rejection. So normally these four classes are there that reviewer can give a recommendation of acceptance, rejection, or minor revision, or major revision. Then the question comes that how much time the reviewer takes in doing the uh, review. So you can see that I have shown you some examples that shows you that how much generally the reviewers takes the time. So invitation has already mentioned that reviewer is going to get how much time, how many days, 45 days, 30 days, 21 days, or 7 days. So, but generally reviewers are busy. It is a volunteer service. Reviewers are involved in some uh, other work, academic work, research work, or the industry work. So they sometimes cross the deadline. So you can see that here the reviewer has taken 55 days, right? Here the reviewer has taken 46 days. Here reviewer has done the review in 12 days. Here the reviewer has taken the 29 days, 34 days, 33 days. In another case, it is taking 21 days, 27 days, 38 days, 27 days. So normally the review, first round review is completed by the reviewer in 30 to 45 days. In rare cases, it goes up to 60 days, right? If reviewer is highly busy, occupied, traveling, then the reviewer may take longer time also, or the reviewer is getting difficulty in verifying the results, then the reviewer may be referring some other resources, may be trying to verify by doing some simulation, by doing some derivation. So then the reviewer may take a longer time also. But in general, the reviewer tries to follow the deadline given by the associate editor, and which is around uh, maybe around 3 weeks to 6 weeks. So 3 to 6 week is a tentative time which the associate editor gives to the reviewers as per their journal policy. So, so this is about the review time. Then the decision process. So based on the peer review report, so generally the two more than two reviewers are involved in reviewing one paper, and based on their recommendation, the associate editor or the editor takes the decision. And the decision, once the decision is finalized, decision letter is delivered to the author via email. And largely, there are three possible decisions are communicated to the authors: accept, revise, or the reject. If if all the three reviewers have unanimously giving a decision that paper should be rejected, or 2 out of 3 are giving the rejection recommendation, then the associate editor take the decision based on the majority, and the reject decision is being sent. If two are giving the recommendation of revision and one is giving the rejection, then the associate editor may ask the author to revise. So we can see that here there is a case one study. Here you can see that reviewer one is giving the recommendation in the original submission, first round review, that is major revision, and reviewer two is also giving a major revision. So the associate editor has given the decision that it should have a major revision. But once the paper has been reviewed, has been revised by the author and went into the first round of a second round of review, then the reviewer one is giving again the major revision, reviewer 2 has given the accept, but then again the associate editor has sent the decision that it should be major revision, because here the reviewer 1 is still thinking and giving a recommendation of major revision. May have seen that some reason that the review comments were not addressed, then he has given again, or she has given again, the reviewer has given the major revision recommendation, though the reviewer 2 has given the accept, but the majority, based on the associate editor, it is asking that it is asked that you have to revise again the paper. There is a case 2 here. You can see that reviewer 1 has given the reject and the reviewer 2 has given the minor revision. You can see that reviewer 1 is thinking that paper should be rejected, but reviewer 2 has given the minor revision, but then the associate editor has taken the decision of rejecting the paper, because one reviewer is not positive, though the reviewer 2 has given a minor revision. Here the case 3, reviewer 1 is giving the rejection, reviewer 2 has given the major revision, and reviewer 3 has given the rejection. So with the majority decision, that the editor has taken the decision about rejecting this paper. Here case 4 study, that reviewer 1 is in the for the original submission, reviewer 1 has given the rejection, reviewer 2 has given the major revision, reviewer 3 has given the major revision, reviewer 4 has given the major revision, and therefore the associate editor has given the decision for the major revision. For once the paper has been revised in the second round, the reviewer 1 has no comment. The reviewer 1 has understood that I don't have any further point. Reviewer 2 is giving the accept. Reviewer 3 is giving the accept, but reviewer 4 has given still the minor revision. So the associate editor has taken the decision for the minor revision. There is another case study here, that for the original submission, reviewer 1 is telling that major revision is required. Reviewer 2 is telling the minor revision is required. So author decision that is communicated, that is the revision. But then in the second round of revision, reviewer 1 has still given the major revision. Reviewer 2 is having no further comment because he has already given the minor revision, so his comment may have been addressed. But since reviewer 1 has taken the major revision decision again and may have given some confidential comment that the authors have not addressed the review points in the first round, then the associate editor has taken the reject decision. So this is all about the decision process and that how the decision is being done. So this is all about this decision process, and I hope that you have understood that how the review is being done, how the reviewer is being selected, what the reviewer is looking for, and how the associate editor is taking the decision in the review process. So thank you for your attention.